A mother and stepfather carried out repeated physical abuse on their 10-month-old baby boy, his name Jacob Crouch. They called him the devil, and he died, he was murdered, with a litany of injuries. A doctor during the trial, which is currently ongoing, has said that it wasn't remotely possible that the multiple injuries suffered by Jacob, which include 39 rib fractures, 19 visible bruises, as well as other internal injuries, those injuries could not have occurred through normal child activities such as playing. Those injuries, according to the doctor who's testifying at trial, which is currently ongoing in England, that doctor has insisted that those injuries were inflicted, which is, of course, what you would expect. 39 rib fractures. That is disgusting. Imagine for a moment, but only for a split second. Do not dwell on this visual. But what kind of beatings would have the 10-month-old baby boy, Jacob Crouch, what would he have suffered to sustain 39 rib fractures? How is that even possible? I can think of one thing, but I don't want to verbalize it. I suppose there's multiple ways beating, but I just don't want to go over it. But I'm thinking 39 rib fractures is going to mean some ribs are fractured in multiple places. That's got to be devastating to the human body. Clearly it was. And just horrendously painful. What constant pain would you be in with 39 rib fractures? Jacob was pronounced dead in his cot at his Derbyshire home, England, on December the 30th, 2020. He died from peritonitis, which is an infection of the lining of the abdominal organs, which is caused by traumatic bowel perforation. I'm not 100% sure what's meant by traumatic bowel perforation. I believe it's like a separation of the bowel. It's like a displacement of his organs. 10 months old, 39 rib fractures, bowel perforation, bruises all over his body. The mother, Gemma Barton, 33 years of age, wept in court as evidence was given. Yeah, she should weep. Not only for the loss of her child, but just how disgustingly ashamed of herself she must be. She ought to be. How sickened by herself, by her actions she must be. I really hope that she is. If she's human, then she must be riddled with absolute disgust of herself. She wept in court as evidence was given. The stepfather, Craig Crouch, 39 years of age, is also in court. They both deny murder. They both deny child cruelty offences. According to the mother and the stepfather, 10-month-old Jacob Crouch sustained his litany of injuries, again including 39 rib fractures, a bowel perforation. He sustained those probably by playing on his bicycle, probably fell over and broke 39 or gave himself 39 rib fractures. That's probably how he perforated his bowel. Is that right, mother? Is that right, stepfather? I don't believe it. Not for a second. So we have a quote from the doctor concerned, Dr. Sarah Dixon, who's a consultant pediatrician. She says, Jacob suffered repeated physical abuse over a 6-month period, resulting in bruises to the face and body and many broken ribs. In my opinion, many of the bruises present at the time of death were inflicted injuries. I mean, there's just no question. I don't want to be too facetious, but this is obvious, is it not? Of course, you've got to have a pediatrician act as a witness. Obviously, that's completely normal, but it's just impossible. Anyone knows this. It's common sense. A child would not be able to inflict these injuries on themselves. So the pediatrician goes on to say, it's my opinion that after he was last known to be well on December 29th, 2020, Jacob suffered inflicted blunt force trauma to the abdomen, perforating his bowel and causing internal bleeding. It's my opinion that the symptoms of peritonitis would undoubtedly have been present and obvious in the hours prior to Jacob's death. Yeah, I mean, I don't wish to be too facetious, but yeah, she's stating the obvious. It's very, don't get me wrong, she's doing a good thing by presenting her opinion in this trial. But who could think it would be any other way? Jacob Crouch, 10 months old, 39 broken ribs or 39 fractures in his ribs, a perforated bowel, internal bleeding. Of course, his distress would be 100% clear. And it's disheartening to see that the pediatrician believes that the physical abuse occurred over a 6-month period. The boy was 10 months old. Bruises to his face, horrendous injuries non-accidental. The pediatrician said that marks on Jacob's face and hip could be explained by pinching or grabbing, whilst marks on his chest were most likely explained by forceful squeezing of his ribs. Yeah, I mean, that's the answer, isn't it? Forceful squeezing of his ribs. Fucking sick. What is wrong with these just absolutely sick individuals that need to be put down, in my opinion? They won't be. This is England. They will be given a pass. They will not receive the jail sentence that they deserve. Even if they do get life in jail, which I hope they both do. I'm presuming that they're guilty. I'm not the judge here. I'm just stating my opinion. But even if they do get life in jail, they'll be given the opportunity to apply for parole at a certain point. The pediatrician went on to say that the perforation, the bowel perforation that caused peritonitis, was inflicted and likely due to a kick, a stamp, or a punch. Jacob was 10 months old. I mean, even if he was 15 years old, or even if he was, 25 years old, but 10 months old, likely the victim of being kicked, stamped, or punched, likely squeezed forcibly such that he has 39 fractures of his ribs, such that his bowel perforates. The pediatrician says that any adult would realize that he was in severe stress, severely injured, that he wouldn't be able to eat, that he would have a swollen abdomen. Any sane human would have done what they could to take Jacob Crouch to hospital to receive medical attention. And the pediatrician says that if that were the case, if Jacob were taken to a hospital, even having suffered these horrendous injuries, that he would have survived. But the mother and the stepfather did no such thing. Apparently, they encouraged and applauded each other's abuse of Jacob Crouch. Can you imagine that? How sick these people are. Text messages between the mother and the stepfather showed that at one point they referred to Jacob as the devil. They fed him his own vomit. They talked about bathing him in bleach. They would send him to bed, or they would smack him for no reason. This is one of the worst cases that I've read through in the last 2 years. I've read through a lot of really bad cases, and maybe I'm wrong for saying this is one of the worst. I mean, it is one of the worst, but there's others just like this, similar ages, maybe even younger children, just suffering the worst abuse possible. These people exist in your community, in your city, certainly in your country. These people exist that are able to do this, that are able to murder their own children, inflict horrendous abuse on their children over an extended period of time, even when they're absurdly young, 10 months old, abused for 6 months. Again, we're told that the mother and the stepfather both deny murder. They both deny causing or allowing the death of a child, causing a child to suffer serious physical harm, and they both deny 3 counts of child cruelty. They're perfectly innocent, according to themselves and their defense team. They didn't do anything wrong. Let's ignore the text messages where they encourage and applaud each other of the abuse of their 10-month-old baby boy. No, let's ignore that. Let's ignore the fact that it's impossible for a 10-month-old to inflict these litany of injuries upon themselves. Let's ignore that fact. Let's ignore the fact that it would be clear to any adult that Jacob was under extreme distress, extremely poorly injured, extremely badly injured. Let's ignore the fact that the mother and the stepfather failed to even attempt to get medical attention for Jacob. Let's ignore all of that and let's go with their plea of not guilty. These guys are not only sick in the head, not only psychopathic, not only evil, wretched scumbags, but they are deluded as well. There is no way the jury is going to let these scumbags go. They're going to be convicted. I guarantee it. I'll probably make a video once that conviction is secured. The both of them will be convicted. And then at some point they'll be sentenced. Now they ought to be both given life in prison. I think that's possible. But there's been too many other cases. Star Hobbs, there's many others in England in which the murderers, often the parents, at least one parent and their partner, do not get the sentence that they deserve or require, particularly if they're women. So here's my prediction. I'm not 100% on this, but I'm pretty confident. Number one, the stepfather, Craig Crouch, will get the most severe sentence. Hopefully that will be life in prison. Hopefully that will be without the opportunity for parole. But I guarantee the mother, Gemma Barton, will get a lesser sentence. It doesn't matter if the evidence will show her to be the primary aggressor. It seems to me, based on the one article that I've read through at this point, we're midway through the trial. It seems to me that they're somewhat equally responsible. Seemingly, they both planned and did physically abuse Jacob Crouch for 6 months. Both fully aware of the severity of his injuries. Both failed to seek medical attention for him. But I guarantee Gemma Barton will get a lesser sentence. Even if she gets life in jail, which she won't, she'll get 20 years or less. And she will be given the opportunity for parole. I'd say after 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, she's going to get it. That's what's going to happen. So all she needs to do is mind her own business in jail and she'll be out after a decade, give or take. That's what will happen, I guarantee it. Of course, I need to say full condolences to the family and friends, those that knew Jacob Crouch, his neighbors, those in the community. They're all going to be shattered. The police, the investigators that have to work through this case, expose themselves to the filth of humanity. It's traumatic. It's mentally harmful for everyone concerned. And that includes you too, the listener, especially if you've listened all the way to the end. We've gone over a pretty dark subject, a very dark subject, for quite a bit of time. So I'm going to wrap things up at this point. Of course, thank you very much for listening. If you appreciate the coverage, please do like, comment, subscribe, share the video as you see fit. I feel that I probably will make another video should I catch an article towards the end of the trial. But I'm just going to end by saying, please don't watch too many of my videos. This has been too depressing. Don't unsubscribe unless you really feel the need to, but just don't watch too many of my videos. I really would like to make more uplifting videos. So maybe I'll just have to start doing that because I want to make the videos. I want to make crime videos, true crime videos. But I don't want to be depressing myself and my viewers too much. I want to do something a little bit more uplifting at points. I don't really know how to do that though. So in any case, don't watch too many videos. Thank you for your time. Take care.